Good morning, all. It's telling followers I'm live. Just waiting for the lovely Caroline to join us for our wellness chat this morning. Good morning. Some people already on. I've not got Caroline on yet, so if you're like, why is it just Angie sat on her sofa? I haven't done it wrong, I promise. This is like the awkward bit when you're like waiting for somebody to join. Morning, Meg. Megzy Elizabeth. Dewey's on. Good morning, everyone. If you're coming for a workout, it's no workout today. So we're going to chat today to the lovely Caroline Drummond Smith about how she became a wellness coach and basically what got her there and what was her turning point. She is an amazing, amazing woman. And she will definitely inspire a lot of people to feel a lot better about themselves and their thought process and their eating process. Good morning. So I'm just going to... oh, we've got an ad. Here she is.
Morning.
How are you?
Hi, Angie.
Oh, I've got you. I was worried then. I was like, I can't hear her.
You got me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got you.
Excellent.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, really well. Really well. Really excited about this morning as well. It's like the highlight of my week this week, I think.
Me too. Me too.
So have you had your breakfast? I don't think my earphones aren't working, but I've got nobody else in the house, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm not going to use earphones. Yeah, I've done my workout, had my breakfast, all raring to go.
Yay! Are you feeling nervous or are you all right?
Mixture.
Yeah.
It's what they say, a bit of fear, a bit of excitement, but fear is just excitement on hold. So
that is so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. So have you had a good week?
I have, thank you. Yeah, a bit wet, but yeah.
I know, the weather's been a real bummer this week. I've had like some really wet and soggy PT sessions this morning, which has been lots of fun, lot of admiration for clients and stuff out there this week that I'm just like, fair play. Last night was like the night they were turning up like after a week of work and then in the pouring rain, and when they turned up I was like drenched. It was kind of like you just expect them to kind of look at you and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go home now. But it's funny, once they start training, they say like the rain is so nice to train in. It's like going for a run in the rain. It's just such a nice feeling.
It's quite exhilarating, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But you've got to get warm first. You're like, actually now I'm really appreciating the rain. At the start you're like, I don't want to do this. I'm not very excited about doing this, but I always feel like once you get going it's definitely worth. And the buzz is almost, so I had a lady last night who's always said like, if it's raining I'm not really up for it, and she turned up last night and I was like, woo, and then when she left she was buzzing because she'd actually done something she doesn't normally do.
Yeah. And you go home,
so yeah, it was really nice.
Hot bath and you feel great.
Oh, you really do. And I had to come home and do a workout last night for my month with me, guys.
I saw that. Sorry. Yeah.
And I really I've got to be honest, like as PTs, I think people think that you just work out really easily and that you just do it all the time, but it isn't easy.
Yeah.
And at 7:30, 7:45 at night, it was like, oh man, but they really inspired me. They made me feel like, absolutely, I want to work out.
Yeah.
Please, can you save this so I can listen later? Natasha, we absolutely will. This will go on my YouTube later. I'll share it and Caroline will share it so you won't miss out on anything. I know a lot of people have messaged me and said 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning is really tough. So don't worry if you can't, listen now. You don't have to sit and watch either. You can kind of just put it on in the background, get on with your Saturday morning chores and just have a good old listen.
Make your brunch while you're listening to us.
Yeah, exactly. I've yet to have my breakfast and then I'm shooting off after for another PT and then popping over to somebody for a surprise. I shouldn't say, actually. It's a surprise something.
Well, let's hope they're not listening.
Sitting in the hairdressers waiting. I love that. Get it on the radio at the hairdressers. Let everybody listen.
I'm envious. They've got an appointment. They're lucky today.
I know, everybody, like I can't even imagine driving past the hairdressers today.
Oh,
It's going to be, I feel really nervous for all the hairdressers and everybody out there today. You know, the people who work in pubs. I've had a PT client this morning who, you know, is helping out in the pub at the moment. And I do feel really anxious for them. It's almost like, ugh.
Yeah, isn't it?
You know, you just don't know how you'll feel. And obviously, you know, we're waiting for gyms to open.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really strict on the fact that I don't want the gym to open too soon. I think we've got staff with families and, you know, people with illnesses and stuff like that, that I just feel like I just want to know everything's going to be all right before we do.
Yeah.
So I feel for anybody working out there today who is feeling like really anxious, but also really excited for anybody sat in the hairdressers.
I'm envious, very envious.
Very envious. Pippa Flack is so funny. Pippa just put on here, she's packing orders, and I'm sat here with my
mug.
Pippa Flack mug. Like these mugs, I think I bought one, and now my collection's like, Josh is like, you just need to get rid of all of our other cups because Pippa Flack mugs are just taking over.
I've got my rather boring water bottle.
I have got a water bottle. Oh look, this is my new one. But not very practical actually, because this you can't take off when you wash, and this you can't get wet. So I'm not actually that excited about my new one.
It's actually really good because you've just got the spout and it's there.
So you could just go for it. It's like
really
it's
nice.
like a Love Island one, Caroline. I can see you with a Love Island one with your name up the bottle.
Just sadly not in my bikini.
Definitely no bikinis this morning. So basically I've brought you on, and I suppose like we met when we were talking about the Warminster Social. You were going to come and talk at one of the Warminster Socials, and you're local, so it's lovely. So you would have been a perfect. You were going to come and chat at our wellness one at the Warminster Cooking School.
Yeah.
And we've just kind of kept in touch since, and I think we both know that both of us work with clients in exactly the same way, but I do kind of the physical and you do the mental.
Yeah.
And you can't really do one without the other.
Exactly.
So we kind of really realised that we've got just so much in common, and like sitting together last week, like obviously we've chatted before, but sitting together last week, we were both like, I could just do this all day with you. Like it was just so lovely.
All day chatting, couldn't we? It was so fun.
Yeah. And it was just so nice because I think we both just want to help people. We've both been there.
Yeah.
So we spoke a lot about your struggle and your eating disorder, and I think that's like a really lovely place to start.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people are kind of like, well, how can this person help me? Have they been there? And you absolutely have. Like you've really been there.
Yeah.
So you've had 30 years of struggling with anorexia. Like a really horrible tale that we kind of went through, and also, you know, everybody talks so much about mental health at the moment. It kind of made me really realize how much of a, you know, of a structure that anorexia is part of that mental health. And I think people see it as, you know, a need to be skinny, a need to look a certain way. And it really struck a chord last week in that I really found out last Saturday that I've also suffered with an eating disorder, which you were probably like the first person I'd opened up to. And I mean, I joke all the time, and people know about my Diet Coke and soft mint diet when I was first newly single after I left Casey's dad, and the need to kind of just be thinner and just so worried about how to lose weight that I just stopped eating. And then admitted to you last week that I used to, like, if I ate a big meal, I would be sick afterwards. And I want to say that on here today because I feel like there will be people on here who have never admitted that they've got some type of eating disorder. And I think it doesn't have to be an anorexia, or it doesn't have to be bracketed. It can be, I sit in the garage and eat 10 bars of chocolate while nobody knows.
It can be very much disordered eating as well as an eating disorder. I think, you know, they're very close. Even if you haven't got a full-blown eating disorder, you're not anorexic, bulimic, binge eater, there is so much disordered eating around.
Yeah.
And it's so secretive as well. It's all so secretive. I think that's why so few people talk about it, because it is so secretive. And I think hopefully I can help people by being a bit more open about it.
Yeah.
And showing people that you can get over it. You know, I had 30 years, and it is the single biggest psychological killer.
Yeah.
It's awful. So I count myself as incredibly fortunate that I did get over it.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, you know, like we talked about last week. It wasn't an easy journey, but I got there finally, which is why I'm here today doing this.
And I think people don't realize that. People don't realize it does kill. Like, we've had a member of our family that we've actually lost to anorexia. Like, it does kill people. And also, it doesn't just kill people. I deal with people every day of the week whose eating or lack of eating or too much eating absolutely ruins their life. Like, I have been with people who've 10 years or 20 years have just been like, I'm so unhappy with myself.
Yeah.
And that makes me really sad. Like, that, I cannot tell you, some days when I come home, I just feel like, I wish I could just take it away for everybody, but I can't. Like, you cannot do that. So I suppose this is a kind of way of trying to help people who have suffered how I have suffered, or are still suffering, or have suffered. And like you, I'm a secret eater, so real. And that's the thing. It is like mental health. It's so secret. And I think mental health's had a great time over the last year in that everybody's so much more open in talking about it. And we realise that it's not just one type of person that can get it. Like, we all have it. I've suffered massively with mental health myself. I'm not ashamed to say it. Yeah. I suffer on a daily basis sometimes with anxiety when it's in a bad place or low place. But I think, you know, for you just being a wellness coach and having had 30 years, so yours started at a young age, Caroline, didn't it?
It started about 15, 16, and I was brought up abroad, and my parents wanted me to go to school in England for my final 2 years to do A-levels. So I was sent to England for boarding school. Hated it, absolutely hated it. Just so alien to me, the whole English system, the whole boarding school. And I remember thinking, it was a conscious decision. I remember thinking, I can't control anything here, but there's one thing I can control, and that's my food. So it didn't start by wanting to lose weight. I didn't actually need to lose weight. I wasn't big at all. I was,
it was a control.
It was a pure control. And then over the years, it went up and down. You know, I had times that were better than others. And then I had two very bad dips where I got to very low weight, very bad place. One was after I had a skiing accident. And again, I remember walking out of the clinic, and they'd said to me, because I wrecked my knee and I had to have surgery. They said, you won't be able to do any exercise for 9 months. And immediately I thought, can't exercise, can't eat. And I went right downhill there. And that was where I did a lot of work. And I found an amazing woman who was local to me and had set up this small house for people with eating disorders. She only took 4 people. And I spent 18 months going there every day. And I really worked on it. And it was tough, it was slow, but I made so much progress. And I came out of there thinking, yeah, I've got this, I've nailed it. And I was so much better. And looking back, I needed to have another relapse in order to get completely better. But a few years, we then moved to Madrid, and I was really happy there. Children all around me, you know, it was great. My husband was there with me, not working for a lot of the time, which was fantastic. And we moved back to England, and I had another relapse, and I felt awful. I felt such shame.
Yeah.
Told everybody there I was saying, yay, I'm recovered, you know, I've done it. And I'd gone back downhill again, and I felt just terrible. You know, I was so ashamed and so embarrassed and so cross with myself that I could let myself get back to that place again. But actually, it's what I
needed that.
I needed it to really, to really get through it again and to get, you know, to where I am now. And I'm now recovered. And, you know, there's always things, you know, when you've had an eating disorder for 30 years, you're not going to get rid of every silly little habit or bad.
No, of course not.
But the thing now is, it's like a voice that used to be right there in my head, on my shoulder, this anorexia saying, you know, if you eat, you're weak. If you put on weight, you're terrible. If you're not the thinnest, then you're not good. You've got to be the thinnest. You've got to be the best. Yeah. You know, all of this. Whereas now, if that voice comes in, I say thanks, but no thanks. You know.
Yeah. It's like we were speaking. It's like the rational mind. So when I've suffered, like, mentally, my rational mind isn't there. So when, particularly after children, so when this voice on this shoulder is like, you can't take the kids out because somebody's going to drive into you, like ridiculous thoughts like that, absolutely had them. This voice wasn't there to say, Angie, don't be silly. Like, people go out day in, day out. And I would just listening to this one voice on my shoulder. And it's funny, like you speak about that relapse, but we have people who come to the gym or PT clients and they do really, really well. And then all of a sudden they have a bit of a relapse. And what they do is they stay home, they stay shameful. They're like, I cannot go back to the gym because I've put on all this weight and I feel really shameful and I've failed. And you haven't failed. Absolutely. Like, that's the big thing. The failing is when you won't get yourself back to that point. And I know there will be people listening to this right now going, that's me. That's absolutely me. I'm stuck at home. I won't go back because I put on the weight. But nobody will ever look at you when you walk in and go, there's so-and-so, she's put on. Like, that would have to be a really horrible person to think that.
They'll actually don't you, and they'll think, wow, good for you.
Yeah, I'm inspired by you. You've motivated me. Well done. Also, the staff would be excited to see you and like, yeah, they're back on it. Exactly. But there is that dip of, like you said, sometimes you need something to happen to say, I'm not doing this anymore to myself. And there's that really cliche thing of like, I'm tired of starting over. And it's like, well, stop giving up. But then you don't have to be 100% good 100% of the time. It's like you said, you still have those little things that remind you of what you've gone through for 30 years. However, you just say, no, that's okay. Like,
I'm done with that, you know. And I think we talked last week as well about, you were saying, what was the turning point for me, or, you know.
I love the turning point.
You know, and it's difficult because I'd done so much work over the 30 years. Well, not for the first 15 or so, but after that, I'd been to this centre and I'd been to various therapists, and, you know, that the therapists, I just wasn't ready. I listened to them, went yes, 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 and walked out and starved myself again. And it's a waste of time and money, really. But yeah, there was one day, and I was upstairs. It was in this house. It was about 6 years ago. I'd had a shower. I was drying my hair, and this was when I was in the dip again, and really, really bad, and couldn't see a way out. And I was drying my hair, and I just looked in the mirror, and I thought, I've had enough. I don't want to live like this anymore. It's not fun. I'm missing out on so much, and I've just had it. And that was just like a switch went. Wow. And it doesn't mean that, you know, the next day I was fine and healthy and fit. And great. But that was the start.
You were like, it's worth it. It's worth going through this now. I've had enough.
And from the work I'd done before, I did actually go and see somebody for some help for a couple of weeks. But actually I thought I didn't like the way she worked. And then I thought, do you know what? I know how to do this myself.
Wow.
I know. And I did. And you know, it was slow. It took several years. It wasn't instant, but each step was a sort of solid step that I knew I would backwards then. And yeah, I did it.
And I think everybody just feels like now, like they want quick results. So whether it's with an eating disorder, whether it's with mental health, whether it's with your weight, or it's not a quick process. And if you've been doing it for 30 years, surely it's worth giving yourself 2 years to get out of it and not go back.
Exactly.
Opposed to kind of, and I think we spoke about like the generic stuff you can get offered sometimes when you've got an eating disorder that actually might not be quite what you need. So sometimes you do need to look at different avenues.
Exactly.
And sometimes you do need to just put yourself first and just do some one-to-one. Which is why, you know, PT clients come to me, they're like, I love the classes, I love this, but I just need that one-to-one. I need that time to kind of open my heart or tell you what I need to do.
Exactly.
Emily, exactly what I tell all my clients. There's no quick way and it takes time and patience. It's so true. Like time, everybody wants this quick fix. And I have people coming to me saying, I'm getting married in 8 weeks. What can you do? And it's like, well, we really should have started like last year. Because also I'm not into fad diets. I'm not into quick weight loss. I'm not into screwing up your metabolism. So once you finish with me, you then put all your weight. It's about longevity. And actually for me, sometimes take the food out of it just to get somebody exercising 2 to 3 times a week, then look at their food. Then some people, you have to take it slowly. Some PT clients come in from the start and they're like, right, straight off. My month with me at the moment, there'll be people in there who'll be like, right, all guns blazing, or there'll be people who are slow and considered. Right, I'm gonna look at this first. I'm gonna look at that second. But it is all a slow process, and I wish we gave ourselves more time. We all want like the instant results that just don't happen.
No, and you have to be kind to yourself. You really do. You have to give yourself sometimes, and just sit back and recognize how far you've come. And
and people say to me, "Oh, you look great," and it's like, but it's taken me 6 years. It's not just in the last 8 weeks.
And
it's not like getting over babies. It's taken time to build fitness, to build strength. It's just not a quick process.
It's also in the head. You know, you can get the side, you know, equally with your PT work, you know, it mirrors exactly when you're recovering from an eating disorder. You know, like we were talking about going into hospital, which thank goodness I never had to do. But so many people are put in hospital. They're given 3,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
And I guess they put the weight on, but they're totally freaked out by it. So they lose it again. So you have to, the mind has to keep up with the body.
Yeah, so you have to make the small changes.
Whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to put it on, whether you're trying to change something else in your life, you have to work on the mental side as well as the physical.
Yeah. No, so true.
And I think
so true.
I know I've come across some PTs who just work on the physical. But what's great with you is that you're so aware of the mental as well, so you don't let that be lost in it.
Yeah. Do you know what? Sometimes I think that's more important. Like, they can come to the studio and train if they want to. Yeah. It's more the mental. It is the mental, and it's kind of somebody telling you once a week, like, you're doing a good job. Let's focus on this. It's that empathy, I think, to have, because I have been there. Like, I've been underweight. I've been overweight. I've been to the point where I wanted to stand on a stage and compete bikini, and I still wasn't happy. Whereas now I'm like, do you know what? I can eat a bit of chocolate. I can drink gin a couple of nights a week, and I can work out. And I put my clothes on. And I think, do you know what? That's all right. I'm happy with that. I don't ever look at myself and think, wow, this is amazing. There's nothing I change, because we are humans. Of course, we'd want to change things.
Even Elle Macpherson wants to change things, you know.
I mean, if she wants to change things, come on.
We've got no hope.
It's that comparison that we're always making to other people, whereas what we should be is comparing ourselves to ourselves. So where was I a month ago? Okay, I wasn't exercising. Right, a month later, I'm exercising. I'm being a bit more mindful of my eating, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. I think that's the thing, is the comparison thing. And I think with social media, it's so easy to think those things, but you have, and that's part of being kind to yourself, is just not allowing yourself those thoughts and telling that stupid voice on this shoulder that's causing a disordered eating or an eating disorder to bugger off.
Yeah. Yeah. And having the strength, and it's when yourself, your real self that you want to be, is stronger than that voice.
Yeah.
Then progress, you know, you're getting there.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what types of, like, can you, because I'd love people out there to go, yeah, that's me. So what types of, like, disordered eating are there? What, if you could give like 5 examples of disordered eating?
There are so many. I mean, I think it's when you don't eat proper meals, and you can say, if you're going out to supper and you think, right, I won't eat properly today or I won't eat anything today because I'm going out to supper. Well, you might still get all the calories, and you might get the nutrients because you eat a really big meal, but you're not having that balance during the day. Yeah. So, you know, that could be disordered. It could be a bit of secret eating, not in a big way. You know, there's all of these can turn into an eating disorder, but you can do secret eating. You can do slight binge eating. You know, a real binge is a full-on binge. And I was never an eater, but I've worked, when I was recovering alongside binge eaters. So I actually learned quite a lot about it. And, you know, full-on binge is a real binge, but you can eat more than you're comfortable with. Yeah. And either then purge, as in throw up, or not. But, you know, a disordered eating person would do those in a smaller way. Yeah. And I think disordered eating is when you're just not comfortable with what you're eating every day.
Yeah, that's so true.
You stress about it. You know, you don't necessarily eat what's good for you because you're looking at the calories on the pack. And you're not at peace with your and what it needs, and you don't listen. I
And
think
do
a
you think
big
there's a
thing of
point that
disordered
like
eating would
everybody
be that you're not
is
listening to
comfortable,
what
is
your
at
body
peace, or
needs.
do you think there should be an element of like mindfulness within like your eating circle?
So sorry, say that question again. Do I think people
So do you
should get?
think there should be an element like there? Obviously, you don't want to be just like I'm just going to eat what I want because that's comfortable. Like there should be an element, shouldn't there, of like I've probably eaten enough of that today, right? I should be mindful.
Yes, definitely, definitely. You need to be aware. You need to be. It's listening to your body. It really is
Yeah,
learning to listen to your body. And it's not easy. It sounds so easy, yeah, where you listen to your body and when you're full, you stop, and when you're hungry, you eat. But I think particularly women, men as well, but I think especially women, we eat when we're sad, we eat when we're happy, we eat when we're not hungry,
yeah,
when we're hungry, we let ourselves get too hungry and then we eat too much. You know, there's
yeah,
so much emotion attached to it.
yeah.
And I
And
think,
emotional eating's like a big thing at the moment, isn't it? Because
yeah,
I think with lockdown, the emotions are flying all over the place. And like you
literally.
said, people do eat because they're like angry, or you wake up from a sleep and you're like, right, I feel a bit, I need some food to kind of get back in, or
And that's
or the
fine.
kids have stressed you out.
And I think that's fine as long as you don't do it the whole time and as long as you're aware of it. And you can think, okay, I'm feeling really crap today. I'm going
Yeah,
to go buy my favorite bar of chocolate. And you
yeah,
do it, but you enjoy it. Don't
yeah. That's
beat
the
yourself
thing. People
about it,
then get upset.
and you don't do it every day because that then becomes a habit that you don't want to get into. But,
Yeah,
occasionally that's fine. Don't restrict, don't say, I can't have that. And yes, if you go out for a meal, you feel really full. Well, if it's a special occasion and you're enjoying yourself, and
why
it's all
not?
reason, why not?
Yeah.
You've got to live your life, and that's what I
And
learned.
that's one thing that we were both saying, like, the balance of everything is so important because it's so easy just to focus on your eating and not go out. And when I was really strict back in the day, I was no fun to be around. Like
No,
Josh was literally like,
miserable.
you're the most boring person I've ever met. You never drink alcohol, you never want to go to a treat. If we went to friends' houses, I would take my own dinner. If they were eating like pizza and stuff, I'd take my own. Now I'm like, get the pizzas cooking. And that's like the kind of key. And I think there's a really good saying, and I've said it to you, is that the best thing a woman can wear, and Marilyn Monroe, I think it was, is a smile. And you can be the slimmest and the best dressed and the most beautiful walking down the street, but if you're miserable
Oh,
and you're
nobody.
sad and you're
No,
hungry and you're not going out with your friends, like that's what's nice is a woman walking down the road, like I'm going to see my friends, I love my life, like got a little bit of a bounce in her step. That is what's attractive.
it is, and if you meet somebody and they are stunning physically, and you talk with them for half an hour and they're just so obsessed about themselves and their body, you think,
Yeah,
I don't want to know. Who would you rather be friends with? Somebody who, yes,
yeah,
maybe wants to lose or needs to lose a bit of weight, however you look at it, but it's
yeah,
happy and fun to be around.
yeah.
And
And
just,
what makes somebody stunning? I know I've got like clients that I'm like, I love her, I literally love her, or him, you have people that you just think, but they definitely don't think that. And I just think, I wish you knew like how a breath of fresh air you were, or how much I love seeing you and stuff like that. It just, I don't
exactly.
think people realize their own worth. And especially if they think that they have to be this certain way, drive a certain car, live in a certain house, or
Really
wear
sad.
a certain clothes to like be great. It's like, it's so much more than that. It's so much more.
And just to
And
quickly
we've kind
go
of all
back,
forgotten about that.
to when you were saying about how you were miserable to live with, I had 30 years. My poor family had to put up with me, and hopefully I'm a bit more fun now. But, particularly my husband, and, you know, he suffered alongside me, and I think
Yeah,
we have to be aware as well for partners, husbands, wives, whatever, and the children. I put my children
yeah.
on, and I could get quite tearful about it, about what I put them through. And, it's really hard to know that I've done that to them.
But I don't think this is the thing as well with the thought process. Like, you didn't do that, did you? Your mental health did that.
No, of course
and
I
I
didn't.
think
And
that's
I didn't go into it thinking, right, I'm going to put my children through this and make them see me have an eating disorder.
yeah,
Of course I didn't. And that's the horrible thing about an eating disorder, is that you don't want it. You didn't ask for it. But
yeah.
you know, I am where I am now, and thank goodness I'm through it. And
Yeah, but the mind still plays that guilt. And actually, I said to you last week, like, when I suffered with my mental health, I was really worried that I'd, like, shown Casey a side to me that wasn't a great side. Like, I literally hadn't showered for 2 weeks. They had to drag me to a psychotherapist because I was in like a really black hole. But now I'm so proud. Like, he used to say to me, Mum, let's colour today. Let's do some colouring together. Like, he's seen mental health. He's seen how you can get out of it. So actually, I'm really proud that, like, I've shown him that, like, mental health can get to anybody. No matter how happy and jolly you are, it can get you. But also that you can get out of it.
exactly.
Like, at the time, you feel like you can't.
Yeah. My husband's lovely comment there. It was difficult, but you always had your smile. That's lovely.
Oh my God, is that your husband writing that? I mean, literally, that makes me want to cry.
Oh.
But I think he will have seen as well, he will have seen that it wasn't you. He will have seen that it was, something that had taken over you. And I think love does prevail without doubt. Like, he will know.
We've been together nearly 30 years now, and we're stronger for it. We are definitely stronger for it.
But there will be women out there today, or men, thinking, God, I really do put my husband through it. I really do. And I think, when we're feeling unhappy in ourselves, we do take it out on our partners. And I think in lockdown more than ever, like, somebody sent me a meme the other day, like, where's your husband? It's like, he's under the patio. It's day 2 of lockdown. It's so funny, like, lockdown's really tested relationships, obviously. But I really do think we do take it out on our loved ones. And there are partners out there probably like, yeah, I have a hard time because my partner does struggle with her weight. And actually, it doesn't even bother me. I wish we could, go out on more walks together or do something more together. But I think they've got to get that mindset right first.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you come in. And I think, like, it's quite obvious that you want to help people, but why did you, like, get out of it and then think, right, I want to become a health and wellness coach? Like, how did that happen?
Well, I think as I recovered, I gave myself a couple of years to really know I was fully recovered. I wasn't going to jump into something because I think, it's quite draining to go through that recovery. And I had to be strong myself in order to help other people. So I got to a point where I knew I was strong enough to then go out and help other people. And I think there were 2 things I learned through my recovery. And the first one was, it's so important to look after yourself first. And I think, again, particularly women, but also men, we're brought up and taught to put others before ourselves.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You can't, I love the expression, you can't pour from empty. You have to fill your own jug up first before you can
so true.
Other people's glasses up. And I thought I had to do it all. I had 3 children under 20 months. I didn't have any help. Well, I was trying to prove I was Superwoman. It was ridiculous, and it was exhausting. And yes, I did it, and hopefully I did a good enough job. But it's so important to look after ourselves. So that was one thing I learned. And secondly, it was about my body and how I saw my body. And I really struggled, even in the last few years, about body image. I've struggled to accept my body, but I've actually now come to the point, not only do I accept my body, but I love my body. And
I love it when you say that.
Yes, I'm 5'2". Yes, okay, in an ideal world, maybe I'd like to be 5'5" and my legs be longer and, my boobs be bigger and all of this. But I love my body. It served me so well. It serves me so well. And I can do all sorts of things that I love doing. And, so I think these 2 things, looking after yourself, making yourself a priority, and body image are 2 really important things. And so I was I thought, how can I help people with this? And my degree was in psychology. I also did a counselling foundation year course, which I loved. And the psychology side, I've always been fascinated in that. And I thought, how can I bring this all together? And health and wellness came up, and it was just like a light bulb moment. I thought, yes, that's it, because it's much more practical than the therapy
Yeah.
side of things. And I just knew that was what I wanted to do. I knew that was how
Wow.
people with all sorts, because it wasn't just about fitness, it wasn't just about weight, it's about the whole lifestyle, it's about work-life balance, it's about priorities, it's about it can, you can come in and look for help for one thing to a health and wellness coach, and it can lead to other things, which is what I find so exciting.
Yeah.
That somebody can come to me and say, I want to, I want to work on my relationship with food, which I had a client last year who did exactly that. She was struggling with her relationship with food. She didn't necessarily want to lose weight, but it was just her relationship with food. And we actually ended up working on a lot more. And she's now gone back to writing, which she did 20 years ago and didn't dare do again. And she's now writing.
Wow.
So, it can lead to all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
do think people just don't invest in themselves. And probably PT clients are like, I've heard this before, but there's basically this saying that my psychotherapist used to say to me, and I basically had a really big breakdown when I was first. I think I've been in PT in 2 years. I really didn't understand mental health, but a lot of my PT clients were suffering with mental health, and I think I was taking a lot on. I was worrying about people so much. And she said to me, you're basically living in this house and your garden's fabulous. Like, you've got your garden all up together, the flowers are growing, everything's done, you're keeping on top of the mowing, you're doing it all. And then all of a sudden the neighbours come to you and said, I want my garden to look like your garden. So I've gone, don't worry, I've got a day free tomorrow, I'll come around and do it. And then all of a sudden, all the neighbours are like asking me to do their garden. So all of a sudden, the whole road is like spanking. Everybody's gardens are like thriving and looking gorgeous. And you go and look out your own window and your own garden's just literally gone by the wayside. Everything's like dying off. And I said to her, yeah, but I don't want to not do other people's gardens. I want to do other people's gardens. And she said, but what you should have done is you should have said to them all, I'll teach you how to look after your own garden.
Yeah.
You don't have to. And I love that saying. I love that analogy. Go and water your own garden. If somebody needs to know how to do it, help them. Things like this. I can't help everybody. I wish I could. Like, my idea is to like save the world and make everybody happy, but they aren't, and there aren't people you can't save. But what you can do is you can show them ways with help and advice to look after their own garden and make sure that they're going out every day and looking after their own before they go and do other people's. And I think that will be one thing that will forever stick with me. So I'm like, okay, I've had a great week helping other people. What do I need to do today? Right, I need to go and see family. I need to spend time with the kids. I need to, also, it's not just about that. It's about me. I need to have a nice dinner later. I need to have some nice fuel. I need to do a workout that I want to do.
It's working out what you need for yourself. And, those around you are going to be so much happier as a result.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to be grumpy. You're not going to be bad tempered. You're not going to resent them for the time they're up, because you've fed yourself first. And that's really, really important.
It is really important.
Yeah.
So going back to the like wellness coach. So what does a wellness coach do? So if somebody on here was like, oh, I love Caroline. Yeah. Like what does her, what I'm sure there's lots of people anyway. I don't need to say that because I love you. But what do you do? What could people expect from like saying, do you know what? I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to go and speak to a wellness coach.
So what I do is I look at making positive change, whether it's in their health, their weight, their fitness. It's not only that though. It's about their relationships, their lifestyle. And I do that through, we start off looking at where they are now. So if you came to me, okay, where are you now and where do you want to be? And so in 6 months time, where do you want to be? And then I help you get that bridge from where you are now to where you want to be. And I do it in a practical way, but lasting change. And this is the thing, the key is that the habits that we will work on together will last, and the change in the steps will be small. You can't just do it suddenly in one big step. It's small steps, but they will last. And the other thing I do is I'm your support for a start, and I'm like your accountability, because I think it's very easy to sit down at home and say, right, I'm going to make all these big changes. But if you haven't got somebody you're accountable to, it's so easy to slip. So I'll help you make those changes. So I mean, that's, you know, it's obviously a very simplified version of what I'm saying, but we look at where you
But
are
it's
now.
good. It's like going to school, isn't it? Those teachers are going to tell you what you need to do. They're going to give you an exam to make sure you're doing it. They're going to, it's like, everybody needs that. And I think people are really down on themselves when they can't stick to things. And I always say to them, like, people are like, oh, but you're great. Like, you're always on your workouts. It's my job. It's like saying a hairdresser, you should clap a hairdresser for cutting hair. It's what she does. It's her job. It's my job to work out. And actually, if I needed plumbing or electrics doing in the house, I'd go and see a plumber or electrician. I'm not like, oh yeah, I can do that. Like, I'd go and see the person who helps.
Exactly. And I think the important thing to say is, you know, I'm not a qualified nutritionist. I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist. And so if I feel that somebody needs extra help, I will say that. I will say, I feel you need extra support. And also, where it's so great, you know, you and I knowing each other, you know, I can say, right, you go to Angie and you do your PT. And you say, right, and I give the support of that. You do the actual work. I'm not a PT. I haven't got a clue.
You send the people to the right people, don't you?
We work together with other practitioners, and we work in a group, and it's a group effort, really, which is what's so great. So yeah, it's helping that whole person, but it's not. I think health and wellness, people think, oh yeah, I want to lose weight, I'll go there.
Yeah,
I can help with that, but there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah,
and there's
we are so blindsided as well, aren't we? That's what's going to make us happy. And quite often it isn't.
It's not. It's really not, because then you get somebody like you said, you know, you've been bikini ready for all the shows. Well, you were probably maybe you're unhappiest there.
Oh, I was definitely my unhappiest. Definitely my unhappiest, and my most miserable.
Yeah, exactly, and miserable for yourself, and miserable for everybody around you. So
and I definitely wasn't filling my cup up. And actually, it was funny because it was when I was first a PT, and I just felt like to be inspirational to people, I had to be like stood on a stage doing bikini. And then it was like, well, who's that going to inspire, Angie? Like, that's not real people. And that's not taking anything away from bikini competitors, but they're not my market. Your market is the normal woman who, so when people say to me, what's your diet? Well, sometimes it's what the kids don't eat. When you've got a 2 and a 1-year-old, it's like, whatever they're leaving on their plate is my dinner today. But do I feel bad about it? No, I don't. And you know, last night, it's really funny. I got home from work. I did my work and then I did my workout. My treat last night was like a big plate of beans on toast with cheese on top. But this is what I kind of talk about. It's like, that is where I am balanced. I'm not a counter of calories and macros, but I get that some people like, I do think you have to be mindful. And if you're working through a diet and you're trying to lose some weight, which, you know, is a goal out there for some people, you do have to look at how many calories you're intaking, and then you just need to reduce it a bit and move a bit more. Like, it's quite easy, but people say to me, I'm doing this, how many calories should I eat? I'm like, I don't know what you're eating. So if you're eating 2,500 calories and then all of a sudden you go on My Fitness Pal and it says, right, you need to eat 1,200, it's like, why did you do that? Why didn't you just basically log your week, see what you were doing, and then reduce it a little bit? Because any reduction and more movement will equate to some weight loss. So you don't need to go down these strict regimes that just don't work.
And I
just need to make some little tweaks, like you said, small changes.
And everybody is different, and at different stages in your life as well. And you might say, oh well, when I was 20, I didn't do any exercise and I ate like a pig and I was a great figure. Well, yes, you would be at 20, but at 30, 40, 50, you're going to change, and to
so different.
And how you change. And you know, I am actually very anti diets, because you go on it and then you come off a diet and nothing's changed really, and it's probably got worse. So we
keep still believing that like something's going to work as well, aren't we? Like, something will come on the market. It's like, oh my God. And we all love a fad. I love a fad. Like, Josh is like the biggest fadder I ever met, but we all do love a fad because we believe, it's like a belief that something has come that's going to work, when actually, you know what needs to happen to work. But the problem is it's a long process and nobody wants to go the long haul.
It happens in there. So much of it happens there. And it's I help people to really dig deep. I think the other thing is people say, what's the difference between a therapist and what I do? Is a therapist will look at the past, whereas a health and wellness coach looks to the future. And we do look at the past, and because I think
where it's come from.
They're always and it's very interesting to look at, but I don't go deep into that. That's not what I'm qualified for.
Yeah.
And we look to the future and new habits and new changes, and I help people be the best version of themselves that they can be.
That's what's key.
Whatever that is, and that's what I want. That's what's so exciting, and that's what I love. At the end of a program, that somebody says, "Wow, I just feel so much better."
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
And it's that control, isn't it? It's like what you said about not having control, and that's where the eating disorders come from. Yeah. And I think it is giving that control back to people to say. So my month with me at the moment, people ask me when I first advertised it, are you going to give us an eating plan? It's like, no, because I'm basically telling you what to do for a month, and then when the month ends, you'll just not know what to do. So what I'm doing is giving them lists of breakfast, right? I want your breakfast to be high protein, and I want it to be this, and I want it to be that, and the onus is on you to what you choose and how what your breakfast looks like. And it's lovely, every time somebody posts their new breakfast, I'm they chose to make that. Just so lovely.
I empower people to take responsibility for themselves, for their own actions, and I'm there fully for that time to be there as a support. But I help do it for themselves. I don't do it for them.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. I think people just feel so good about themselves when they do it.
They do. They feel so much better, so much more powerful and lasting.
So I know I asked you this last week, but I'm going to ask you, as I think we've been through all the wellness and what they'd expect and stuff. Yeah. So who inspires you? Because I think it's really important to be inspired by somebody. This would probably make me cry when you talk about this. But I think it's really good to know what an inspiration looks like, and that it's not a woman in a magazine or a size or a friend who's got it all. It's so who inspires you?
So, when you first asked me that, I thought, oh no, I need to think of some famous person or some historian and be really sort of intelligent about it and sound really clever. But no, it's my father who inspires me.
And why is it your father?
While I was growing up, he's always been my number-one fan. He really has. And even through the tough times, and we had our differences when I went through my eating disorder, we had our battles, but he really stood up to me, which I admired him for. He didn't, ignore it. But he's always believed in me, and he's always said, if you want something, you go for it. And I know my children will recognize this as well, because he's the same with them. And he said, want it, you go for it. You don't take no. You don't take no for an answer. You just, you can do it. And he's just, it makes me sort of tingly to think about it, because he's great. He's
probably to do with your hairdryer moment when you thought, I've had enough. He was probably the voice inside that said to you, you can do this.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need is that person in your corner.
Yeah.
So, be it a wellness coach or a PT, somebody, you just need to have somebody in your corner to say, you absolutely can do this. And it's so mean to keep telling yourself that you can't. And so many people signed up to the course and sent me a message and said, I'm going to do this, but I don't have much willpower. I'm not this. They've already told themselves they're going to fail. Whereas what they should have done is said, no, I'm going to do this. I'm absolutely going to give it all I've got and see where I go. It's 1 month.
Yeah.
Alison Bridges put heart eyes. Aww. She's feeling the love like I am. But I do think it's so true. Your inspiration should not be to be a certain person or nobody better than yourself. You need to just go, this is me. If I've got thick thighs like I have, I'm never going to have skinny legs. If you carry your weight around your tummy, you're never going to have abs. So you have to just say, this is me. That doesn't mean I've got to be this version of me. I can always be a better version of me with good food, good talking, good mental health, good exercise. I definitely feel at 40, I'm the best version of me. Like, I love the kids, I love work, I'm so loving my work, and I know I'm very lucky to have that. But I think that all comes from eating well and training. Like, it keeps you motivated, it keeps you inspired. And I think if you're sitting at home and you're like, I haven't done anything for a couple of months, everybody will admit, like, that's not a nice feeling. A nice feeling is working out and eating well.
Yeah.
And me with the thick thighs. I'm always going to have thick thighs. It's just one of them things my mama gave me.
But it's like I was saying, it's body acceptance, and that's what I work with people on a lot, is that body acceptance, body image. It's, yes, accepting. You know, I could probably have surgery. I think when my daughter always wanted to have surgery. She came to me when she was about 14 and said, can I have that surgery my friend's having to extend her legs? And I said, well, no, you're not having that. And, you know, yes, my daughter and I are 5'2", but she's the most beautiful person I know. You know,
yes.
And it doesn't matter what height you are, what shape you are, what size you are. It's how you feel about yourself and loving yourself. And that will come across. And like you saying, you feel the best version of you. Likewise, at my age now, I feel the best version of me. It's taken me a hell of a long time to get there. But
it's not because I'm a weight or a size or I look a certain way. It's just like, this is it. Like, just be happy with yourself, because the most glamorous of the women that you're checking out on social media probably aren't. And they're probably in a world where any second they're like last minute's news and stuff like that. Just be happy in your little world, to not have that pressure.
Exactly.
Sophie Milliken, I have really loved this.
Thank you, Sophie.
I love that people are loving it. And I just think it is so important. You know, Sophie's a young girl, and it's really important with young girls now that we do just talk about, just be so happy with yourself and use exercise and nutrition for goodness, not because you know you hate your body or because you ate a bad meal, just because you love your body. And it is, you know, mine's given me 4 children. I will never be ungrateful to this body that's done that for me. You know, it's just you should be really grateful. And we're all here. Look at the last few months where people have been unwell. You know, some people have been really unwell, and you're reading about these people just thinking, I'm so happy just to have my health right now. Like, exactly. I don't care if I haven't got much money in the bank and I've got the smallest garden and the house is always a tip. It's kind of like, life's so much more than that.
Yeah. And talking about, you know, the exercise, and I think that's such a big thing. Well, for me personally, I used to exercise so I could eat.
Yeah.
And now I exercise so I feel well. I feel great exercise. It's the endorphins, nothing to do with burning calories. And
that's so nice.
And strong. And the older I get, the more important it is for my bones and for everything, you know, to be strong. And that's why I do it. And I think everybody...
And it's so true. Like, you should, as you get older, like, it's so important. So I can meet people in their 50s and 60s who can't get out of a chair, who are really struggling with like an old injury that they never went and, you know, saw. Whereas exercise will help you in that respect. So Claire's just put, being yourself and being kind to yourself. And I always say to people about being kind to yourself, I think this be kind, people don't really know how to take that analogy and what that means.
And that's what I help what does it mean, being kind to yourself?
Yeah, I think that's so important.
And how can, you know, I see people who've got young children at home and busy, and, you know, you don't have to have 3 hours a day to yourself to be kind to yourself. It can be just taking that 5 minutes, even lock yourself in the loo if you have to. You know,
sometimes I have to, because whenever I sit on the loo, they're both down. Like,
well, exactly.
Having a laugh.
Yeah,
I just want to go for a wee.
I know. Well, you can't do that when you've got young children. So lock the door. And so
and it's okay to do that, isn't it? I think that's the thing. You kind of feel like, I've had a PT client in this morning. She's going back to work and she's got that anxiety that I think everybody's feeling right now. Like, after lockdown, people are going back to work and there's that overwhelming sense of anxiety of like, I don't know what's ahead. So I think you can deal with anxiety so much better if you are giving yourself some time, if you are getting your early nights. Like, some nights Josh must be like, she's the most boring woman in the world, but I know if I don't go to bed and get that sleep, I'm not getting up for the kids in the morning. I'm not going to be the mum that they need me to be. So most nights 10 o'clock I'm like, bye.
That's a late night for me, Angie.
You're like, I'm in bed at like 8, it's fine.
I mean,
I'm trying to be a little bit hardcore.
I'm the same. I need my sleep, and if I don't, well, my family know very well, they suffer, and everybody suffers.
But that's a be kind to yourself thing, isn't it? That's like, your body needs a rest. You need to have a rest. And people say, but I can't get to sleep, I go to bed. But it's forming a habit. It's teaching your body to go to bed earlier. It's not just going to happen.
It's not going to happen night one. If you normally go to bed at 1, it's going to fall asleep at 10. And it's learning how to make those new habits. And do it slowly. Don't suddenly go to bed at 10 when you go to bed at 1 normally. Go to bed at midnight for a week. And, you know, it's all
just change it slowly.
Yeah.
We've got a little message from Giant Peach PR. So this is Maddie, who's been running the Fit and Well magazine, runs the PR company called Giant Peach. This is exactly what I'm trying to teach my 2 daughters. When I exercise in front of them, they join in. It's great role modeling, and I love what they see me doing when they see me doing the workouts. Like, that is just, there you go. Like, all in all, that's just great news. And I just think for young girls nowadays, it's so important that we do teach them. And it's so funny, a PT client this morning who I had, who very much eats what she wants, and she's very lucky to just eat what she wants and not really worry about it. But I was like, but your kids might not have that. You know, you need to get on your nutrition, because you're teaching your kids that it's okay to do that. So it's not just about you. I think if you've got a family, it's really important to teach your kids that it's okay, you know, just to be you. Love exercise, love going out for walks as a family, which loads of people did at the start of lockdown. You know, we've kind of all got a bit tired now, so we're not doing as much of that. Claire Martin, so pleased I found you, Angie. Love your channel and those around you. Fit and Well magazine too. It's a healthy place for body and mind. And it's so true. It is just trying to find the people who tap into, you know, things that work for you. And I think just honesty. And I'm really honest. Like, if I'm eating chocolate at night, I'm like, woo, I'm eating chocolate, guys.
But I think also people are so obsessed with how many calories do I eat? What should I eat? How much should I exercise? I think if you're eating well, so you learn what nutrition is, learn what a good balanced diet is. If you're eating a good balanced diet, if you're exercising reasonably, not obsessively, but enough, then that is what you should be. That's the weight you should be. That's the shape and size you should be.
Yes, it's so true.
Do not spend your whole life battling it, because you'll be miserable, and everyone around you will be miserable.
So true. Yeah. So we're on a mission, aren't we, Caroline, to make everybody just really lovely and happy?
We are.
Right. So I think hopefully we've said everything. Obviously, if anybody's got any inquiries or stuff, they can just come over to you. I'll tag you in the post.
Health and Wellness with Caroline. Just get in touch, and then we can, you know, we can email, phone, text, whatever. I'd love to hear from anybody if they want.
I was going to say, I'm sure you'd love to hear from everybody. And obviously, if people have got any questions, just to come over.
They just want to have a chat. And what I do is I do an initial chat first, initial consultation, and then we talk about, you know, what's the best fit, and if they want to work with me, if I want to, you know, if I feel I can help them. Obviously, if I feel they should be somewhere else, I'm not going to take them on. And we talk about it, and then talk about the best program that I can offer. So,
love it. So I don't know, sometimes this doesn't say, so I might have to screen record, but it might let me save to IGTV. So if anybody has loved it, please share it. Like, we want to touch as many men and women, not touch, because social distancing. We want this to get to as many people, to help as many people as we can. Very motivational talk. Thank you so much. Thank you both. Lots of food for thought.
And I do work, you know, if people aren't local, I work from home. I've got my own room that you saw last week, Angie.
Oh, it's the most beautiful room. I can't wait to come over to see when it's finished.
And I also work online if people prefer that way, if they're not local. I do online consultations. And somebody just said also, what's the best way of contacting me? Well, initially through Health and Wellness with Caroline.
Okay.
Claire Martin, yes, I do remotely. I do online. But the best way of contacting me, initially Health and Wellness with Caroline. You can send a private message through that on Instagram, and then I can give you my phone number and we can talk.
You're going to have a busy day, I feel. Everybody's going to be like, hello.
I'd love to hear from as many of you as possible. It'd be great.
Oh, You just want to help everyone. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're fantastic too, Angie. I mean, it's so good talking to you. I'm so pleased we met. It's been amazing.
Oh, bless you. And when we get to do the actual Warminster Social, it'll be amazing. So I'm really excited about that, because that's definitely not forgotten about.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. It's going to be great.